When you were younger, you recovered from that easy. But as you get older, it's just so much tougher to recover from these nagging injuries. All right, guys, welcome back to the Ready for More podcast. Strength is for everybody. I'm Edie, and
I'm Mark.
look who made a guest appearance. Welcome back. Where have you been, man?
What'd you say, on a secret mission?
Secret mission.
Yeah, I was in a secret mission somewhere.
In an undisclosed location.
Either that or I was buried with responsibilities and kids, and I'm sick too, if you can hear this.
So first of all, why do you sound like a frog?
So, I've got two kids, and one goes to school, two young kids. And when they go to school, they bring you home all kinds of goodies. So this is the leftover of one of those goodies, and I'm, feeling much better, but I guess my voice is the last thing to come back.
But he's a trooper.
Yeah. I'm here.
And he's here.
All right, so, we're coming into the second month of the year, and that New Year's drive is being carried forward by an idea of being disciplined and keeping in the gym. So today we're going to discuss what discipline actually looks like.
All right, so what does discipline look like?
Well, it depends on how you define it. I think for a lot of people, it's I need to go and I need to push through no matter what. I got to make this happen. I have a program, if I have a program, and I need to accomplish every single lift on it. I have to hit my numbers. I got to do whatever. And I think that is let's choose the right word here. I think that can be a damaging way of approaching discipline that can lead to like burnout or just like disenchantment with going to the gym. Like you stand to do more damage if you approach things that way, because real life is going to happen. You're going to sound like me one day or feel worse, and you're not going to be able to hit your lifts. So what do you do then? Do you go like try to force it?
Yeah, and you always get that earlier in the year, with the new year, new rule kind of thing. And everybody wants to go in like 100%, 5 days a week, full intensity. But if you, and in their mind, they know it is not really realistic, but that's what everybody is doing. So if you go into with the mindset of, okay, well, 2 days is more realistic than 5.
Right.
I'm gonna kind of scale back on the intensity in the workout. I'm not gonna try to eat broccoli and chicken breast every day. That's not realistic and that's not possible, because you're not gonna stick with that in the long run.
Look, I'll tell you, across over a decade, I don't think I've ever seen anybody that came in with that approach, that hot with that approach, where it's like, I've got to get all of this done. I've got to conquer everything, and I owe it to myself, that has stuck with a program or that has stuck through with their training.
I don't stick with a program if I go that hard.
Right, like it's not real. Forget realistic. I just think that you're just burning on such unrealistic fuel.
Yeah, because willpower is always going to win. That person over there you see with all the results that you want, that person is not better than you because they have more willpower. It is because they created a system that just makes stuff easy. They created less barriers from where they are to where they want to go or who they want to become. So the less barriers you put in between you, the easier it will be. But when you go so hard, there's so many barriers in between. It's going to be tough to consistently do. So that's why, we kind of don't recommend you going so hard and put the systems we have in place.
Look, I've talked to you more and more about this, especially in recent years, but discipline for me is more about scaling, which kind of touches on what you're saying. So you taking a disciplined approach to your training is meeting yourself where you're at, and so you're scaling to where you are, then you can scale up from there. Not just where you'd like to be or how much effort you need to put in. Like, you take things into account. Do I have kids? What are my responsibilities? Realistically, what does my schedule look like? And, I mentioned this before. This is something that I had to contend with when I was training, 5 days a week for my fitness goal. My coach told me, you got a kid on the way, you're not training this much.
Exactly, and if you didn't have a coach, you'd still think you could try to do that because she had the experience. I'm sure when she was younger, without any kids, she did it. Just like you, when you were younger, you could have spent like 2 hours in the gym, no problem. You don't have a wife to go home to, you don't have kids. But when you have kids, you have to wake up multiple times during the night, with a fever, and you have to get your workout in, you have clients. then you going hard all, full intensity throughout that workout, that's not going to end well. You telling yourself, okay, I'm going to do 2 solid sessions. I know I could get 2 solid 30-minute sessions as opposed to, okay, I'm going to go 5 days a week. I'm going to go an hour in the gym. And then eventually you just like, man, like, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah, you burn yourself out. Look,
Yep.
I'll tell you a story. I'm working with somebody right now who's working on their one-arm push-up, right? And that can be a pretty hard lift skill to acquire. So, there's a deadline for this because it's for a cert. And this person's worried, oh, well, if I don't do all the days that you programmed, don't worry about that. Life happens. You have to travel. You've got a job. You've got a lot of responsibilities. Let's prioritize. Let's shift the program. Let's reprioritize how we need to. You're going to take the time off that you do. You're traveling, you're going to hotels, whatever. Still get some push-ups in wherever you can, even if it's your hotel room, just for a little bit of feedback, but don't sweat it. We can't follow the program to a T. You don't have to knock this out of the park. Just stay consistent and scale to what reality is for you right this moment.
Micro sessions. Another thing people have to realize is, yes, you can be consistent if you go all in, only if you have a deadline. That is why people with deadlines tend to do better. So just like the bodybuilders on stage, they have a deadline. So they have like 6 months, I'm going to train, 5 days a week. I'm going to eat chicken breast, broccoli, whatever, what have you. But then after that, they kind of ease up. I mean, they don't go full, McDonald's and what have you. But they kind of ease up because there's no way you could sustain, even the people you think that are the most disciplined, they cannot sustain that, because your body is not meant to be, that bodybuilding, that shredded, that, that big all year round.
Yeah, and in that instance, that's an extreme state that you train up to, you peak. Then what do you do once you peak? Well, you got to take the off ramp for a little bit.
I mean, it's just like a marathon as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a deadline. So if you want to accomplish something, create a deadline. Okay, a deadline. So I want to be whatever it is. I want to get that much weight on the bar by, give yourself 6 weeks or whatever, but you incrementally add weight and then you kind of ease off. So you have something, so you could go hard for 6 weeks and then you kind of taper off. You go hard, then you taper off.
Another thing that I would, define as discipline is, paying attention to the signals that your body's giving you. And this is something that we've talked about at length already, but I think that discipline, and maybe you could say maturity ties into this too, is when your body starts talking to you or, the numbers seem off and, you just see yourself sliding backwards, right? I guess target-wise, and saying, I don't need to push harder. I need to scale again or change the plan or alter. I think that takes discipline. And I'm telling you, for the first time in my life, I can appreciate that as wisdom behind discipline versus being a 32-year-old guy and I can do anything I want all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you sort of kind of, in a way, learned it the hard way because you started getting injured.
Yeah.
I mean, before, yeah, I mean, the kids, that's one portion of it why you kind of scale back. And another thing is you just started getting injured. When you were younger, you recovered from that easy. But as you get older, it's just so much tougher to recover from these nagging injuries. And then it's like, yeah, I have to scale back.
You know what I think about that? And this is like a message for everybody out there who's like in their 20s and 30s. I think that the damage is always the damage. There's just like this very thick buffer of youth that prevents you from like...
I'm invincible. Even if you get knocked down, you'll stand back up. But I mean, now that we all is like, man, it's just like,
But like, let's say your joint is taking a beating and you're 25 years old. It's still taking a beating, but there's that buffer of youth that prevents it from actually being a message that your body gives to you. Whereas like, if you're in your late 30s or 40s, that same beating you're giving it, your body's like, guess what? I'm not being quiet about this anymore. Now you're gonna hear all about it.
I mean, and don't forget, you have all your friends, especially if you go to the gym with a bunch of friends. You have your friends, and you don't want these guys to think you're a wuss.
That's another beautiful thing about getting older is that you start caring less and less about impressing people. And as you start lifting the same way, you get hurt less and less.
Yes.
Yeah, let us know what some of the tools are that you use to stay disciplined and to keep yourself in check or to scale to where you actually need to be. I'd be curious to know. Stay disciplined, scale to where you are, enjoy the process, and so you can keep coming back week in, week out.
Yep. The best workout is the one you will sustainably do.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So if this one hit home, just drop a like, subscribe, and let us know how you stay disciplined, if you stay disciplined. Until we meet again next week.